Weeks and weeks of play have led to this moment.
Playoffs is back and we have some surprises in store for you.
Absolute chills.
Everybody's so low for SrPeakCheck. Cookie!
There's a reason that Cookie was touted as the best soldier in EMEA.
Saints play this beautifully. The bomb sticks mid-air!
You gotta have supreme confidence in yourself.
There is so much to fight for, and I am stoked to see how it's going to really pan out.
I love this when the fight is dire, when players recognize when they must make a play.
Oh my lord!
I am so damn excited.
This is absolutely spicy.
Only one team gets to come away from this alive.
Now it's about their name. It's about their legacy.
Know when to take that risk, when to bet it all.
The Overwatch Contenders Summer Series playoffs continue right now.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Overwatch Contenders European Playoffs. We're on the final day. I'm Dustin Bauer. I'm joined by my co-caster Moxie. And Moxie, we have both the lower bracket finals and the grand finals today. So obviously it is the climax of the entire season. Twisted Minds are looking to finally capitalize once more, whereas these other two teams in the lower bracket are looking for that chance to get a rematch in those grand finals.
Yeah, oh my goodness, Dustin. What a day of Overwatch we are going to be so lucky to take you through as we can have a look at how exactly today is going to be setting off. I'm super excited. Up first, we have Oblivione versus SrPeakCheck, and that's obviously going to determine who gets to head through up against Twisted Minds. Is it going to be the rematch of the finals that we had last season with Twisted Minds versus XO, or is it going to be SrPeakCheck trying to take the crown, the team that Twisted Minds themselves confess that they're more concerned about?
Yeah, that's so interesting. You'll have to see if Oblivione can try to topple SrPeakCheck, because as well, Mox, we haven't even seen, at least in the playoffs, that matchup between Oblivione and SrPeakCheck. So this is going to be a brand new matchup on our hands, whereas, you know, maybe if it was Peps on the other side, we could be seeing a repeat, but totally fresh, totally new, as we take back a look at the bracket for the playoffs so far. I mean, Twisted Minds have kind of been rolling through these playoffs so far, obviously with the likes of SrPeakCheck and Oblivione taking a map off them kind of shows they could potentially be toppled, especially with the way the meta has been going, but obviously they're still there in the grand finals, where on the other side, you know, Oblivione dropped to them in that upper bracket. Meanwhile, SrPeakCheck fell a little bit earlier to Twisted Minds in a similar 3-1 fashion.
Yeah, it is interesting, like you said, however. Kenobi yesterday described Twisted Minds as looking a lot more mortal than they have in the past, and a lot of it does come down to not just the new meta, but also innovations around heroes that were not really part of the meta, which is something that SrPeakCheck does just incredibly well, being able to utilize a Reinhardt composition of all things with Cloudy at the helm and make it as far as they have really goes to show how skilled every single one of these players are in terms of the heroes that they run. I would say Fire is probably the best Mei that we have in the EMEA region as a whole, second only to perhaps Yubi. So maybe we do get to see that showdown between the two if SrPeakCheck are able to make it through. But I definitely think for Twisted Minds, the fact that even in the last season of Contenders, they'd moved away from purely relying on the Pharah and the Echo has greatly helped this team be able to innovate and move into what is currently the new meta.
Yeah, I 100% agree. I like that you mentioned Fi. I mean, really one of the most flexible players, and like you said, just the best Mei player, probably in EMEA. Meanwhile, on the side, you know, with Oblivione, they have the likes of Cookie, who is kind of like a Sojourn specialist in his own right. I mean, there's so many of these players, at least in EMEA, where it feels like they have their specific one or two heroes they're very good at, and then they just really hone in on that craft. We could take a look at the roster specifically, since we were talking about Cookie, for Oblivione. Besides him, Moxie, on this roster, we obviously have been seeing a bit more of that W Maimon Genji, and then the likes of Sky coming with Oblivione. This roster is still a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, really interesting that we're going to be starting off with Sky and Crispy rather than Kaneo. Kaneo is XO's current Iliari players, so we're more than likely going to be seeing the Lucio come through from Crispy, as it is going to be Control up first. Cookie, like you pointed out, is one of those players that you really do have to keep your eye on. Like, we got to see all of these plays that he's able to make. We've even had production say, yeah, people have come up to us and asked whether or not the footage of Cookie getting a 5k has actually been sped up. No, the guy is just that good on this hero. He really does make it look as natural as breathing hitting those rail shots. And like you said, W Maimon coming in, sometimes playing the Tourbillon, but flexing onto something like the Genji when we move into places of high ground has been a really good pick for EXO to be able to play off Chase Torch as well. But taking a look at their opponent, because we can theorycraft what EXO is going to be running out with all we want. We already know exactly what SrPeakCheck are going to be coming out the gates with. The only time that they ever deviate from this Maze Symmetra, Reinhardt, Baptiste, and Lucio is when they're going up against Twisted Minds, and they have to have someone like QRXU come in over Daned to be able to flex onto the Symmetra, but also to have the backup hit scan in the pocket if they have to try and take down a Pharah or an Echo.
Yeah, it's and you mentioned Kenobi earlier. Like they've been doing such a good job. SrPeakCheck have been doing such a good job with these teleporters. I mean, Kenobi touch on it, you touch on it, where Danid just has these perfectly placed teleporters just off cooldown, it feels like, where the tempo is just far too much for the other teams to handle. So, you know, on the other side, we'll have to see if Oblivione can handle it, where, you know, we talk about QRXU as well, sitting on that bench of SrPeakCheck. I mean, he really is like a standout player too. If he was on any other team that was not trying to run this Rhine Rush 24/7, I think the guy would obviously be a starter. You know, has been going toe-to-toe with the likes of Quartz consistently, which is one of the best hit scans. Realistically, I would say Cookie, as it stands, besides that of Twisted Minds, is one of the like only mainstays in terms of that DPS like hit scan role that have been always kind of playing first up in those lineups, and also alongside W Maimon. You know, that duo between both Cookie and W Maimon has been long standing and really has been one of the best in Contenders. So we have to see who can come out on top, Moxie. Obviously, SrPeakCheck yesterday, I mean, they kind of dismantled Peps. That was a bit of a, I wouldn't say an easy game for the likes of SrPeakCheck, but at least going into Oblivione, that's got to give you some confidence, right?
Yeah, the thing that you have to remember, however, is that EXO, being the highest seed, are going to be able to pick the map type. And one thing that SrPeakCheck have had a lifeline in terms of running this Reinhardt composition into those control points is they've normally been able to be taken to Antarctic Peninsula, which is where the Reinhardt does still struggle, but it also, when the map first released, we did see teams run the Reinhardt, run the Ramatra, because of just the ability to be able to rush onto these teams and start swinging into melee as quickly as possible. EXO, no surprises, going to be starting us off on Ilios, one of those maps where the Rhine is definitely going to struggle compared to places like Antarctic Peninsula. This entire map is so centered around dive, and that's really funny because that's essentially what SrPeakCheck turns the Reinhardt composition into with the Symmetra teleporter. The problem is, however, if that teleporter fails, this Reinhardt is without mobility and is going to get chunked down before you're able to hold on to the ground.
Yeah, it's all going to be on the overall, you know, consistency between these two teams, or between these two players, LH Cloudy and Danid. You know, we talk about that synergy between the Lucio players and Reinhardt's, but really, Mox, you're right. I mean, it's just been that kind of tandem of both Danid and Cloudy having those perfectly placed teleporters. But, you know, sometimes Cloudy can be on his own island and trying to do his own clutches. It really happens more often than not where Cloudy will just get this random pin out of nowhere, or just be in your backline with his hammer. It's such an interesting development in terms of the playstyle.
So he does it, but he's smart about how he does it, right? He'll do it if he's up against something like a Ramatra, where he'll look for the pin, because Ramatra, very good at being able to poke the Reinhardt from afar, doesn't really have any answer to being charged. And it's really interesting. It's something that actually Cloudy does continuously when he's up against KSA playing that Ram. He finds the pin, so even if he doesn't find the kill on the Ram, he at least provides the space for the rest of his team to be able to move in now that the Ramatra is removed. That's not something you can play into with Narissa, however. Chase Torch is going to have to fortify, and that stops the charge potential.
Well, we'll see if the Orisa ends up being a counter today for the likes of Oblivione, who play a little bit safe and passive at the moment, conceding that objective over to SrPeakCheck before the coin unlocks. It's about 6 seconds until it unlocks, so Oblivione just wants to play on the outside, let Cookie build up that charge. Almost gets that one shot, but Everybody's still healthy on the outside. Meanwhile, point has now unlocked. Nobody controlling it just yet. Both teams trying to contest it on the outside, while Cloudy on the inside angle just tries to take some space on the Chase Torch. Force that javelin spin out of Oblivione and actually control that objective. Chase Torch has to back up, conceding to SrPeakCheck, who are in control of that objective first. Oblivione now trying to find the one-shot with Cookie, cannot connect. Each railgun shot miss is unfortunate for the likes of Oblivione. Dandit over the back right as well has found Cookie on the flank, then teleporters over to the Mega Health Pack just to remain healthy. And then Cloudy can go aggressive too off of that opening pick from Dandit. SrPeakCheck are steadily in the lead now.
Yeah, SrPeakCheck now with control of this base. Dandit as well, by the way, has done so much damage in terms of poke that he's already got the wall built up for this next fight to make it even harder for Sky's amplification matrix to buy Oblivione the space while SrPeakCheck try to back up.
Amp Matrix re-engagement from Sky, but it's immediately met by an Amp and Symmetra Wall from SrPeakCheck. Oblivione though, understanding that they use 2 ultimates on the other side and only 1 on theirs, can now go in with a potential ult advantage. Maywall comes through. Cloudy as well tries to capitalize, find somebody, and maybe overextended. But it's just Chase Torch on the front. Immortality field committed from Ghost and a beat drop re-engaged before Oblivione even have their own beat drop, but it is disengaged from Oblivione, who still have that beat drop while SrPeakCheck had built up nearly 70% of the board. Ice Block had to be committed by 5. Who was sitting with that Blizzard. Being poked out though is Cloudy, and Chase Torch will eventually find him. No beat drop had to be used yet from Oblivione, but it does cost Sky his life. However, Crispy eventually will come back for Dandit. Fi also fell, and Oblivione will finally come back at about 80% for SrPeakCheck and reclaim the point.
In terms of for that back line, he is going to have Overwatch as well.
Well, it looks like, SrPeakCheck now tries to walk in. Cloudy has the Shatter, ready to go. Fi as well sitting with that Blizzard over to the left side. Amp Matrix, Overclock committed by Cookie. Everybody walks away though, understanding that ultimate was used. Oblivione only using 1 of the 5 they have built up, however. SrPeakCheck now try to walk in, have that Shadow ready to go, as well as Symmetra Wall in just a moment. TP into the back line. Molten Core comes out as well to zone. Make sure Cloudy can't go more aggressive. But that is a 1-for-1 trade in terms of position ultimates for positioning. Mamone will take Dandit down though, and Oblivione now try to walk forward, but they get shattered. However, Immortality Field is there from Sky, keeping everybody healthy. But now there's that Blizzard, so the beat drop can't be committed from Crispy there. However, no kills for them on that side yet either. Even off that Blizzard from Fi, while Oblivione are building up point percentage nearly towards 60%, while Cookie is on a very aggressive off angle, just slides away though. Commits that cooldown, now that wall comes through. Cloudy trying to chase out Cookie, but he's able to stay alive for now. Beat drop as well, re-engaged. Terra Surge there onto Dandit as well. And Oblivione have the kills in their favor. SrPeakCheck can't really re-engage because they don't have any good ultimates to fight this. And Cookie will find Cloudy on the stagger. They're looking for more, potentially, but the Maywall is there to stop them. One last fight for SrPeakCheck now.
One last fight, and it is going to be Ghost coming in with the amplification matrix. Currently the only ultimate on the board. It's going to be Ghost coming in with the amplification matrix, the only ultimate on the board. SrPeakCheck now trying to come in with a really fast Symmetra teleporter to rotate onto the point, but Chase Torch just waiting to see if he can intercept the team behind the Reinhardt.
Overtime taking down, beat drop committed by Dala so they can come back into this fight. Sky has Amp Matrix, uses it to force away LH Cloudy, but he's just going to sit close on that outside. Rest of Oblivione actually gets caught out. Ghost, Dandit, Fi combined for 2 on each and come back to reclaim that point off of some great ultimates.
This is really dangerous for EXO now. SrPeakCheck are going to be sitting on the Blizzard as well as the Shatter in Final Fight territory, and accordingly, Sky is actually going to go for the swap onto the Kiriko, Chase Torch onto the Doomfist to be able to keep the point contested in time. The Kiriko is going to be huge. It means that you can actually Suzu the Blizzard effect.
Well, Doomfist comes into touch. Chase Torch, though, goes for that flyby. Down to 200 HP. Has to back up towards his team to get some of those heals. Overclock committed from Cookie. Can he get any kills here? Blizzard from 5 to zone on the outside. Ghost understanding an overclock is looking at him. Will drop the immortality field and soak up a couple of those shots. Intelligently played. And then the solo shatter comes out, but it is peeled for. Nice Suzu from Sky. And the support is there. Cloudy will get the charge pin onto Crispy. And Ghost will find W. Maymon. They do lose Dated, but it doesn't matter because Ghost with the Ant Matrix over the top is too much damage. And SrPeakCheck will claim the first round.
Really smart positioning coming through from SrPeakCheck. 5 throwing in the Blizzard to make sure that EXO don't try and move on to that point, and as a result it basically creates this massive gorge between themselves and Ghost in the backline, who entirely uncontested because everyone is so focused on Cloudy coming in, controlling the off angles, making sure with the shatter he entirely puts a stop to Cookie getting to run rampage with the overclock. The Baptiste entirely uncontested gets to just hit into the Ant Matrix and continue to heal Cloudy up on point, and there's nothing that EXO can really do to DC them.
It was so back and forth, Moxie. I mean, both supports on Sky, Dala, Ghost as well. I mean, all kind of just going back and forth, playing nearly perfectly. It all coming down to the wire. Meanwhile, Moxie, it looks like Oblivione rocking with that Echo and Doomfist immediately.
Yeah, they're going for a sort of dive composition to come through, as well as running this Echo, punishing the fact that SrPeakCheck aren't running Q or XU, so they don't have a hit scan answer. If they're able to get towards the point, they're going to be sitting pretty because they can just avoid with the natural cover a lot of this Echo poke, but that's what the Doomfist is here for. To make sure that if they do go onto the point, you just dive in and punch them out.
Let's see if they can stop it though. Sky actually gets the opening pick onto Danid as they were forced towards that point, hit the anti-grenade, and then a nice follow-up shot. 5 though does find Chase Torch. I mean, that Doomfist can be incredibly squishy when isolated. Everybody trying to relocate around the point. Another anti connects. Able to find Ghost is Oblivione. Cookie with the 2K in that fight off of a nice anti from Sky, who has been so impactful. Now comes in for the 1v1. Boop comes off the map from Dala, and 5 will trade back Cookie. So somehow SrPeakCheck are still in this and force away Oblivione.
Oblivione is still going to be sticking, however, with the Doomfist, with the Echo. W Maymon so close to the copy that we're not going to be seeing a swap until it's used. However, SrPeakCheck now have the ability to be able to set the Symmetric Teleport up so they can have these players, some of them split, one of them on the high ground to make sure that you can collapse onto W Maymon, or Chase Torch if he tries to drop and use the high ground to be able to reset the cooldowns and then punch into the team below.
Nearly 50% built on the board for SrPeakCheck. AJ comes through onto Fi. Also some grenades connect, and then Cookie also finds Ghost with the follow-up damage. So no more Baptiste. A lot of those heals gone. Danid tries to come through and trade it, but now he's forced away. Gets killed by Chase Torch, but Fi is able to find Cookie. So it's a 2-for-1 trade in this situation. SrPeakCheck's looking to delay the point. Chase Torch comes into that objective and just gets deleted by the likes of SrPeakCheck, who now commit that beat drop. Fi also finds Sky, and Dala yet again another boop off the map. I mean, it's so consistent from the backline of SrPeakCheck.
It's so smart! Do you see what he does? He waits for W Maymon to have copied Cloudy. So as a result, he can't go back into the Echo and use Shift so that Crispy has line of sight to J onto him. He just has to watch his Mercy go off the cliff.
Nearly 90% of the board now for SrPeakCheck, and they have ultimates to boast. Cookie on the outside, has Overclock ready to go. Ant Matrix and teleporter play there from the likes of SrPeakCheck, who then immediately get matched by W Maymon Cookie, combining with that Overclock. It was a little bit of an overzealous play from them, but they, I suppose, only committed the Ant Matrix.
Yeah, and that's exactly what SrPeakCheck were aiming to do, because look at what Oblivione were forced to part with. Overclock used, Meteor Strike used, Nano used. All they have for this next fight is a Valk. SrPeakCheck with the Symmetric Teleport can literally TP onto the point and drop either the Blizzard or the Shatter to guarantee the flip, and then use the second ultimate to make sure that EXO can't top.
Now they come through the Mega side. Oblivione looking to go for that teleporter, but the nice Doomfist punch from Chase Torch. However, now he's immediately walled off and removed. So no more Doomfist in the game, though SrPeakCheck are low. They do need to get healed up. Also wait for the teleporter, but instead they just go with the sim wall. But Mamone, what an impactful kill, is able to find Ghost. Chase Torch also gets rezzed. However, SrPeakCheck flipped that objective, finds able to find W Maymon. So the Rez immediately gets traded out. Nice sleep from Sky, though, after the Shatter comes through, or before the Shatter comes through from Cloudy, to make sure he doesn't get that kill. But Chase Torch gets murdered again. I mean, just consistently keeps getting removed from the lobby. No more Doomfist. Also, Dala still on Crispy's butt, making sure that Mercy really can't get any value. Cookie, though, Does get the railgun shot onto Cloudy. Immediately will get traded, but Sky finds Dala as well. Comes into that objective. Can finally get onto Fi. Also, a Nano Boost comes through onto the copy W Maymon, who will find Ghost too. And Oblivione look to reclaim this objective in overtime.
They have to keep doing what they've been doing, using Chase Torch to immediately deter SrPeakCheck when that Symmetra teleporter is used. So the team, either one of them goes through, and then the Doomfist punches in and collapses in when the Reinhardt's already removed, or you stop them rotating entirely and you allow so much more time for Cookie and W Maymon to be able to punish this Reinhardt in these rotations. The problem is SrPeakCheck is sitting on both support ultimates, and now we're going to see them TP onto the point to hold on to it.
TP to the objective, and Matrix is there, as well as the beat drop. Oblivione have nothing to keep Chase Torch alive. He will go down. SrPeakCheck claim that objective. Railgun overclock committed by Cookie. Can he find any kills? It's the only way for them back into this fight. Unfortunately, it looks like the answer is no, and he will get shut down. SrPeakCheck will take the first map. Ilios in their favor.
It's such a smart Symmetra play from SrPeakCheck. Just a really solid rotation for them, because essentially, if you as the Doomfist want to commit into trying to stop them from teleporting onto the point, we already saw what happened. Yes, you can stop the teleporter, but you punch in, and unfortunately, because you have to punch in, you just don't have the means of being able to extract yourself from the situation, and because you're fighting inside the corridor, there's literally no line of sight. Your Mercy's not going to be playing that with your Doomfist because she's already going to be tethered to the Echo, and you're not going to have your Ana playing within line of sight of the Doomfist either to be able to make sure that he's able to escape. And as a result, every single time that SrPeakCheck are able to find that rotation, they're always making sure that EXO are fighting without a tank, and it means that they can find these really cheeky flips. Fi then comes in with a really well-placed Maywall to just cordon off one site that Cookie and W Maymon have, pushing them, funneling them into the space that SrPeakCheck are already in control of. So when the fight properly begins, not only have they not been able to find the early kills, but they're also eating all of that damage of a Symmetra already set up.
I mean, the pace has just been set by SrPeakCheck, and now Moxie obviously going to this next map. Oblivione are going to look to change things up, surely. I mean, it felt like their Orisa was working out at points, right, Moxie? You know, Chase Torch playing some of that on the first round, but then switching over to that Doomfist, I mean, things started to kind of collapse for them. You know, obviously they have a strategy going alongside it, but what do you think their strategy should be going into this next payload map?
So it's a really tough one, right? Because you can't really play Orisa into Symmetra. We're even hearing it from the players themselves. Symmetra is a massive Orisa counter at the moment because one of Orisa's main tools of defense for herself, the Javelin Spin, which like the Defense Matrix and Sigma Shift, eats up all of those projectiles. Symmetra Beam goes right through it. You literally just get absolutely microwaved. And you can't even really use the Orisa poke. You can't try and throw a Javelin to displace the teams as they go for the Symmetra teleporter, because that's going to get shut down by the Reinhardt shield. That's why they went for the Doomfist. Something that if you are going to be countered, it forces the Reinhardt to actually go for the counter charge, which means he's not going to be going for the teleporter with the rest of his team, and your objective is achieved. And as a result, I'm really hoping that we're going to see EXO try and take us somewhere where dive is a little bit more favored, because like you said, the Orisa and the Doomfist just didn't work out.
No, it didn't, you know, and I think that, you know, this really proves maybe to the point where Twisted Minds was saying this was a terrifying team to go against, right? Actually, you mentioned it, where SrPeakCheck really is that that underdog that none of these teams really want to go against. It's kind of the epitome of EMEA, where, you know, one of these teams are kind of just like one-tricking, whether it be the whether it be the SrPeakCheck, you know, just coming through, playing Rhine Sim pretty much the entire season, and then getting a good chance to run it in the playoffs is really a terrifying matchup. So the likes of Oblivione look to take us to a different map, which is going to be New Bonnie. Maybe, do you think, Moxie, this one goes in their favor a little bit more so than some other potential hybrid picks?
A week ago, I would have said yes, but that was before we saw SrPeakCheck versus Twisted Minds play this exact map. And even without a Symmetra, Ryan rotate all the way through. It did take them a good 30 seconds because they really were just playing into the mind games of, oh, gee, I wonder where the Reinhardt's going to pop up. Is it going to be the low ground behind you? Is it going to be the high ground? And then it was the high ground. And they actually forced everyone on the side of Twisted Minds to fully back up and remove themselves off of the high ground, off of the point, and Fi on the May as well, not even on a hit scan, was able to take down Lambda on the Echo with the ice picks, which was absolutely insane. They're going to struggle on streets, but on A, I think SrPeakCheck, with the rotations that they have, they're really solid on attack. The one problem is that that's one strategy, one rotation that's a surprise the first time you use it. EXO 100% went back, watched the games, wanted to see how the Rhine interacted on this map. They're going to know what's coming.
Yeah, I think EXO is obviously well aware, like you said, but everybody is, right? It's a matter of, you may know what's coming, but how well are you going to be able to stop it, right? It's that current back and forth in Overwatch where a lot of these teams will just kind of one trick and you just know what's coming, but how do you plan against it accordingly? Looks like for Oblivione's side, they're going to make some substitutes to try to deal with it. Vestola will be coming in, as well as Kanale. You talked about him being that Illari player for the likes of Oblivione, and he'll be doing that, looks to be, once again for EXO today.
Yeah, Vestola as well. Normally signature Diva. We have seen him actually move on to the Orisa. So we might get to see a little bit of that on point A when you're just looking to anchor, because at the end of the day, that Reinhardt is going to want to either remove space and just run straight onto your team, or go straight to the point and force you to come down and recontest and thus put yourself into the range of the Reinhardt swing. So it's going to be very interesting to see which option EXO take, whether or not they want to prioritize mobility and try and out-rotate SrPeakCheck with the new and improved Diva boosters, or if they're going to try and statically hold a position with the Orisa composition.
Yeah, it's so interesting as well. I think it's because maybe because of meta or something, but yeah, I mean, probably just the meta. A lot of these more mobile characters, I guess, are in a weird spot. Right? I mean, like, I feel like with teams, even Overwatch League running Diva and not really, finding a lot of success with it just yet. And also, same with that Doomfish just being kind of squishy. It feels like really the only, possible dive character to play is kind of Winston as it stands with Primal Rage, and with the zaps at range as well. But, over here in EMEA, how many Winston players do we really have at the highest level? Sure, they could play Winston, but how many are kind of that Korean level of god tier Winston gameplay where they're just perfectly mechanically skilled? Probably not many. And that's why, Mox, you mentioned the likes for Twisted Minds with KSA, with these players figuring out what's best for them and just sticking with that. However, like you said, with the Doomfist, with the Diva, a lot of these characters have been sort of on the outskirts of the meta. But what makes Vestola different, I guess, Moxie, is probably the question I'd phrase to you. What makes Vestola kind of this Diva specialist that can play it to a very high level?
Well, we actually saw it yesterday. I think Vestola is probably the smartest Diva in this region when it comes to how he utilizes his boosters. Even yesterday, we got to see him going up against a Symmetra on Gibraltar, actually using the boosters to stop teams from going into Symmetra teleporters. He's really smart when it comes to knowing when to aggressively push in, but also when he needs to cut that aggression and play a little bit more defensively to be able to peel for his backline. And we already know, right, that you're not going to be facing up against an Illari. The reasons why we've spoken on length every single time we've seen SrPeakCheck on the broadcast. This is a composition that requires the Baptiste and the Lucio to be able to make this Reinhardt work. So as a result for Oblivione, if they want to play the Diva, they know that they're going to be going into a full team brawl, which is why we're going to see Vestola prioritize the Orisa composition, at least for point A. Kanale is going to be picking up the Illari and W Mayman on the Torbjorn. So once again, they're going to look to do what they did on that first map of Ruins, which is just try and overwhelm SrPeakCheck from all of these different angles, all of these different areas of threat, as LH Cloudy Shield can only cover so many.
100%. We'll have to see if SrPeakCheck can deal with the flanking of EXO. So far, obviously, map 1, they go in their favor in this first to 3. Underneath the likes of EXO go. They want to move over in towards this inside angle. They always kind of go over here and then kind of mix it up. But they want to go to the high ground in these back halls. They're kind of waiting it out. Maybe confusing EXO a little bit. They come back through the main side, actually. Just back onto that objective. 3 on the point. Disruptor shot is there, but 5! Oh my god! A right click onto Kanale immediately removes the new support hero for EXO. Now they're just missing one member. TP up to the top. No speed boost away. Mimone just gets deleted by Fi again. Who now with the right clicks drops onto Sky. Cookie, though, will trade Ghost at the very least, so no more Baptiste healing. For Cloudy, he will go down to Sky. So nice 2K for them, as well as those spawns kind of coming through at 97% on the board. SrPeakCheck, we're not able to claim that objective. In fact, just have to back up for now.
This is another reason why Vestola is on the Orisa 100%. They know that SrPeakCheck are going to try and rotate, and Oblivione actually make sure that while they're not on the usual high ground, they're still on a high ground, and Vestola with the Orisa's survivability, as well as Sky positioning himself to make sure that he's still able to be uncontested, as SrPeakCheck had to commit the Symmetra teleporter into moving onto the high ground EXO would have already evacuated, is untouchable, and both of them just get to anchor onto that point. Kanale is going to lose that pylon early on, so that's on a 12-second cooldown, which significantly chunks down the amount of heals available for the Ori.
And Dana looking for that TP play onto Kanale, just moving back and forth to avoid that shot as well. Blizzard towards that point. Symmetra's still sitting above the high ground. Everything removed in terms of utility for EXO. So finally able to find Momo, but Cookie does trade it back. Pistola goes for the trade. On the inside, drops the Terror Shirts, able to find Ghosty. Or Ghost, before the beat drop can even connect. Fi's able to get Sky, but it might be too little too late. The beat drop was not there in time to save his team, as EXO will get another hold.
Look at the amount of space that EXO is able to control, by the way, with the Orisa. Like, the entire time Kanale is being pressured by Danet in the backline, Vestola single-handedly on the point, just using the Fortify, the Javelin spin to be able to sustain an anchor so that SrPeakCheck aren't able to pick up the final tick, and even comes in with the Terror Surge once Fortify is on cooldown to get that 50% damage reduction inside him when he's alone. Is SrPeakCheck going to go in incredibly quickly? Seeing this, EXO use Captive Sun to slow things down.
Nice Captive Sun over the top. Pistola will get Ghost. Momo and also onto Dala with the overclock from Cookie too. So a lot of ultimates committed towards this fight. Win for EXO. Yet again are holding nearly 1 minute left on the clock for SrPeakCheck to take point A.
They've got the tempo of this perfectly. They wait for SrPeakCheck to make the first move. I love the fact now that they're not actually looking to destroy the Symmetra teleporter, but wait until SrPeakCheck have burned through it already before collapsing in on the team. But Kanale goes down early, Dustin. That is not how you want to start this off.
No, WMamo drops onto Ghost and Dana, but they give up the point.
Yeah.
No! Oh my god, they're getting all of the kills besides that opening pick from Fi. And they give up the objective. SrPeakCheck now move on to Streets.
That was really unfortunate. It looked like WMamo was actually trying to drop into the backline, not just to find kills, but to also potentially look for a copy onto Ghost so that he can actually give a second immortality field and keep Vestola on the point. But unfortunately, because he's looking for the kills on road, he's not contesting the point itself, and SrPeakCheck just walks straight up to take it. However, they still have to get through the road and back onto the payload, as yet again, they're off of the high ground, having to teleport in.
Give a nice jump away from Sky towards his team on the high ground. Make sure they can't really jump on them until they have the Symmetra teleporter again. Understanding that, though, they drop the Ant Matrix over the backside. Cookie comes back through. But Immortality Field keeps Ghost alive for now. Also takes the 1v1 with the copy. WMamo while his team's fighting. WMamo comes out on top with that cooldown advantage, but the rest of his team is gone. It's just WMamo with the copy here. Does get the kill on Defy at the very least. Comes back through as well out of copy form to get some damage on Danet, but just looking to die on this payload because that was the objective of EXO, as SrPeakCheck will finally get some payload push.
Terror Surge is going to be available for EXO Cookie as well, approaching the overclock, but SrPeakCheck do have the ultimate advantage, and even better for this team because that fight was around the point itself. They've been able to break through first corner without having to worry lacking a hit scan of losing a player to Echo Poke.
SrPeakCheck at least sitting with the ultimate advantage. Pistola, though, has that Terra Surge, and Cookie with the overclock. Kanale has the ultimate as well. They wall over the top. Sky takes Danet out. But fine, we'll trade it back. Kanale, no more. We'll have this Captive Sun of this fight. Sky doing some nice shots onto Fi, though, who has that Blizzard ready to go. Has to run through on the inside with the cart. Still pushing from LH Cloudy. Terror Surge from Pistola on the inside. Fi commits the Blizzard, even though he has no Ice Block to stay alive here. His team on the other end are winning their fight, so now Cloudy can come through with the follow-up, even though Fi died for it. That Blizzard got maximum value because Cookie as well couldn't get the overclock on the inside angle. SrPeakCheck, pretty clean Streets phase.
That Blizzard, Fi literally living, is able to distract both Cookie and Sky, Dustin. So that leaves the Baptiste and Sojin, your main damage components and heal components, out of a fight where SrPeakCheck gets close at the distance and brawl. And that's exactly what this line composition lives for. Yes, Fi goes down, but he's done enough. EXO at least will still have the overclock. They're going to start off with this Captive Sun to come through, trying to find the picks, but the Rhine Shield is actually going to be able to negate so much of his impact, and Fi comes through with a headshot.
What a block, and then Fi like you said, with the follow-up. I mean, he's just so clean. Pistola now left behind on that payload. Has to just die. Ghost again gets found late by WMaymone. But the rest of his team is gone. 1 minute, 50 seconds left. Cookie dropped that overclock and picked off Dana. That's a huge pick to find, and surely will force off SrPeakCheck for now.
Yeah, Kanel's going to be coming back in on the Kiriko as well to get maximum speed in for the re-engagement, as SrPeakCheck understands without Danet on the Symmetra, they need to cut their losses and run away before they provide too much ultimate economy available to EXO, especially Cookie. If they let him build back into an overclock without an amplification matrix to be able to burn the Sojourn off of this angle, they cannot allow it. They will get stuffed up in choke and suffer throughout the rest of the series.
Off the high ground goes SrPeakCheck to that left side flank on a Cookie. Understanding he has dashed away. They'll be able to regroup together, maybe decide what to do from here. Come back towards that main side. Kanel has to back away with that swift steps. Mamone still has that copy ready to go. SrPeakCheck only have that beat in this fight. Ant Matrix committed on the main side. Isn't really finding much value because it's not forcing away SrPeakCheck. Beat drop now, re-engage. Mamone on the coastal side has to give it up. Fall back towards his team. SrPeakCheck doing a good job controlling these off angles at the moment to push this payload. Mamone with the copy will get the Symmetra. TP onto the back, also dropping into turrets immediately out of the copy form, though, is countered by SrPeakCheck. Blizzard still available on that backside. Ant Matrix committed from Ghost. Does force away Sky and gets that immortality field out for now. Vi drops the Blizzard towards that payload. Pistola does not get the counter off, but does commit the Terror Surge to slow down this objective from being pushed in. But eventually we'll find the kill onto Cloudy as well after fully charging it up and having that ultimate from the Kiriko as Oblivione. Hold on. 10 seconds left here, Moxie. I don't think SrPeakCheck get a recontest.
The Terror Surge wins it for them. The Terror Surge absolutely wins it for them. There's one reason and one reason alone, but we'll have to talk about it a little bit later. Stall will actually be able to tap onto the payload and keep it contested, but everyone else, unfortunately, not able to make it through. But looping back to the Terror Surge, what is so smart about it, Visol does the exact same thing that we saw when he was anchoring on point A. He uses the Terror Surge to automatically get the Fortify, and as a result, he fortifies through the Blizzard. He can't get frozen up, he keeps the payload contested, and because he has the 50% damage reduction off of the back of the Fortify, as long as Ghost has a line of sight onto the Orisa, Oblivione keep it non-stop moving, and SrPeakCheck have absolutely nothing that they can do about it. Such a smart Orisa.
Yeah, I thought that, maybe Vistola will be able to pick up the likes of Orisa and some of these off-tank players in general, with maybe even KSA swapping over to it. But, Vistola showing that he can play to a high level. However, Moxie, on the other side, SrPeakCheck shouldn't have gotten that far in the first place, considering they almost got full held, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, one of those moments where Oblivione really played into SrPeakCheck's hands was the replay that we saw just that. There it is. There's the Terror Surge to make sure even through the Blizzard, he's still not going to get frozen out. That payload is still going to be contested, and EXO will be able to just push SrPeakCheck all the way back to the choke where the Reinhardt composition is going to struggle the most. But Fire is just getting so focused down on the fact that EXO would literally just send 2 players to try to deal with a Mei who has the wall and the ice block and can make sure going for those 1v1s, playing it super aggressively, almost diving in like Lucio's, and then using the block after you're either losing the 1v1 to be able to get the health replenish, you can just pop back out and still find the kill. Really good value coming through from fights, just has so much attention, and that is something that EXO cannot afford to have happen on the defense.
Yeah. SrPeakCheck now. Sitting above this top side, ready to counter-engage Oblivione, who have that Bastion now for the damage output. Sky's able to find Dana as well as that Immortality field is here. Fortunately, it's a bit too late to keep their team alive on SrPeakCheck's side. Cloudy will fall as well. And the Bastion just outputting far too much damage for SrPeakCheck. 1 tick given. They potentially get a recontest here, though, Mox. 2 ticks. It doesn't look like it. They're setting up for Streets now, as EXO will take point A.
Yeah, you can already see WMaymone just making sure that SrPeakCheck do not get to set up around that corner and look for a recontest. The Echo, even without the Mercy, taking full advantage of a lack of hit scan on the other side. The only real counter that you have is Ghost, but Fire's also been adequate at being able to hit those icicles. However, this is where the problems now start to occur, because with the Bastion, like you said, there's so much damage out first, as Cloudy has to just wait for the wheels up before he can even look to try and engage.
Now there's that Maywall. Ant Matrix committed though, and unfortunately Cloudy's shield is far too low, but oh my god! What a Fire Strike window play, 2 with 1. However, Cookie and Sky combined for both Ghost and Dollar, so no more heals are here, and Cookie just comes through, gets a 3k in that fight, and EXO doesn't even care. They're getting this payload pushing even more.
Yeah, this is where the Bastion is such a threat to the composition that SrPeakCheck are running. Danet is throwing in these Symmetra teleports to try to draw EXO's eye into dealing with it so that Cloudy and Vi get the opportunity to set up before the Bastion becomes problematic, because if they push into the Bastion already set up, the Rhine shield is broken in seconds, and so too is the Maywall.
Pistola sitting towards that RV side. Meanwhile, on the side, there's the Captive Sun. Connects onto the likes of Fi. B-Drop tries to keep him alive, but Danet already went down, so Dala, again, unfortunately, B-Drop's a bit too late. Cookie will also find Cloudy, and oh my god, EXO are just snowballing.
Captive Sun and Echo is such a brutal combination. Obviously, if Captive Sun connects, it slows you, and the Echo is then able to immediately collapse in and follow up with the stickies to provide that additional 90 damage to be able to instigate the 120 burst follow-up. As SrPeakCheck do still have the Blizzard, they also have that Symmetra wall to try and survive the Bastion burn, as they're just going to come straight in, start the fight off before the Bastion can really pick up momentum.
I mean, he has Shatter onto Cookie, but he's still somewhat healthy. Eventually will get found. Mimo gets frozen in the copy, but Pistola with the Terra Surge, again, able to find value. Now, Cloudy is gone. Dala, though, does trade Pistola back, so they're getting some value with Danet. Also, maximum charge on this backline. Surely everybody else falls, and yes, they do. SrPeakCheck finally finding some semblance of life on this third phase.
The second time that Pistola uses that Terra Surge to deny the zoning potential that SrPeakCheck were looking to pick up. The kills, at least off of the start of the fight, will guarantee that SrPeakCheck hold on to the choke, but they've only got Amplification Matrix to delay until Dala has the sound barrier, and Cookie is holding on to the artillery strike from the Bastion to be able to make sure that Ghost is forced off of the angle and away from his window.
EXO walks towards the top. Send the Illauri and Torb drone on the left side. Now artillery strike comes through from Cookie. Drops 2 on the front, waits on the third. The turret removed as well for W. Mimon on that engage. Cloudy's shield is low, so they back off into the corner. Concede some space for now, as they have that ultimate advantage in this fight. Now teleport on through. Capture Sun from Canale just to get away, and to get the kill onto Danet. Cloudy as well falls the Cookie. It's just too much to deal with. Canale with a nice little 2k there with 4 minutes left to go and capture out this map.
Soul is still going to be able as well to have the Javelin throw to make sure that SrPeakCheck are not able to keep this point contested. As we can see, Cloudy goes for the charge. He's got to be the one to try and tap and open up the payload, open up the space and push EXO back off the angle. And he's been able to do just that. Both Destructibles broken on the side of EXO, Pylon and Torbjorn turret gone as Ghost on the backline. Entirely uncontested, keeps everyone alive.
Oh, and that was a bit too early of a beat probably from Dala now, because now they can't really push away EXO. EXO just building up ults, playing aggressive, forcing away the likes of SrPeakCheck. Ant Matrix in the Cloudy shield. He gets incredibly low. Also can't get the Shatter off. 20 HP. Has to go to touch the payload, but everybody just collapses. They're falling like dominoes right now. Oblivione will capture out Nubani to tie the series 1-1.
1-1, Dustin. Oh boy, we are in for a series. We've already talked about how problematic this Bastion can be in terms of just being able to, not even with the ultimate. Essentially, your ultimate is used just to zone away so you don't get insta-pinned as you try and walk through the choke by the Reinhardt. But it is essentially DPS downtime compared to what you're able to do in neutral with Shift Online. Every single time Cookie is able to go into the swap form mode, he just absolutely blitzes down every single defense SrPeakCheck have available.
Yo, Moxie, why work for your kills when you could just play Bastion? you could just tank form, run at him, have infinite
Point
HP.
and click.
It's crazy. I mean, look at that, 12,000 damage done on the side of EXO. I mean, what a great map for them to win. However, you know, Twisted Minds also won this map against SrPeakCheck. We'll have to see where SrPeakCheck obviously take us next, but that was a great win for EXO to get right now.
Yeah, I mean, you said the damage numbers are crazy. There's one number in my mind when we look at Cookie stats that it's even crazier. 3 deaths. He's playing Bastion. And he dies 3 times.
He's a tank, like...
That's literally how little SrPeakCheck were able to try and deal with him, because if they try and only go for the Bastion, if they only focus him down, they open up the space for the Echo and the Iliari to come through and take those off angles and just shred the damage on the Rhine's backside, because he's having to burn the entirety of the shield on approach to the Bastion, because the Symmetra teleporter has already been used to try and bait the Bastion into going to the shift form mode to try and take the teleporter down as quickly as possible. Like, it really is really smart play coming through from EXO, taking full advantage of everything they know that SrPeakCheck are having to use to engage into these situations, and turning what should be advantages for the Rhine composition into really significant disadvantages that they're just not able to recover from.
And after that, we're all tied up 1-1 between Oblivione and SrPeakCheck. But for that map number 3, guys, we're going to have to go to a break before it. So don't go anywhere, guys. We'll see you for map 3 after this short break.
Are you tired of your teammates holding you back from greatness? Ready to seize the initiative, hit shift, and super jump up the ranks? Or become the envy of support players on every map, game, and round? Well, get ready to take flight with the brand new Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin. Each Mercy skin comes with a brand new, hand-painted, hand-crafted, free-range, organic, non-GMO, and side effect-free Valkyrie battlesuit, so you can be in style as you beam up your team. And when your Caduceus staff isn't enough, there's always the Caduceus Blaster! In order to earn your wings, connect your Battle.net account to Twitch and tune in during the Overwatch Contenders Finals on August 29th and 30th to claim your exclusive Contenders Mercy skin. So, what are you waiting for? Suit up and join the fight in your Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Oblivione versus SrPeakCheck series in the playoffs in the lower bracket finals. Whoever wins this gets to go against Twisted Minds in the grand finals. Moxie, we're all tied up 1-1. SrPeakCheck obviously just took control that first map, but the most recent map we just saw on Nubani, Oblivione tied it all up in pretty dominant fashion. So now, Moxie, obviously this map number 3 is going to be a bit different. The likes of SrPeakCheck get to pick the map.
I mean, it's going to be a little bit different in terms of where we're headed, but for SrPeakCheck, it's not going to be different in terms of composition. They have shown that they will take us to Circuit Royale, a map that when it first released, everyone was like, okay, this is just Sigma. You can only play Sigma, there's no way Reinhardt's going to work, the line of sights are just too long, but with the incorporation of the Symmetra coming through with the teleporter, SrPeakCheck have really turned this map into one of their strongest. Ironically enough, not in terms of their attacking rounds, but their defensive rounds. They get to hold super aggressively on the defense right next to attacker spawn, and they burn so much time at the beginning of A that even if the team makes it past into B, a lot of the time, they just don't have enough left in the bank when they hit into C.
Yeah, it's so interesting that the likes of SrPeakCheck in particular have gotten so aggressive with these compositions. And like you said, Circuit Royale it's kind of been a good map for them because of, like you said, the overall gameplay from them just constantly teleporting around, just making sure the teams can't really breathe. But it looks like EXO have kind of figured something out here, with that Bastion. Obviously, Cookie, opting for not a lot of Sojourn gameplay like he was in the first couple of maps, has kind of been locking the Bastion. And Moxie, do you think that might be the kryptonite to SrPeakCheck? We've heard Cloudy talk about it in interviews, complain that the Bastion is unethical at times. Would you agree with that? Has this Bastion kind of been a catalyst to Oblivione's success?
Yeah, I mean, every single team, it feels like, is starting to run the Bastion. Even Twisted Minds running it yesterday on Gardens alongside a Junker Queen. So even if SrPeakCheck are able to make it past EXO, and they run into what used to just be a Pharah Echo team, they're still probably going to run into it. It is going to be something that they have to learn how to deal with. But on this map, maybe we don't see the Bastion, maybe we see the Hanzo, because Hanzo still fulfills the same sort of requirements that the Bastion is there to fill. You have a lot of shield break with the Storm Arrows, but you have the mobility to be able to take the off angles as opposed to the Bastion, who a lot of the time is forced to play around the rest of the team.
I feel like you'd be a good coach, Moxie. I just, like, every time I hear you speak, you're like, well, do you want to try the Hanzo? Do you want to try the Pharah? Do you want to try the Echo? Like, it's like a lot of interesting, like, because these are hard decisions to make, to be honest. Like, to make the swap to Hanzo, when the likes of maybe something is, like, really strong in a current meta, there's a lot of decision making that has to go into it. And, a lot of these EMEA teams are, constantly figuring things out. A lot of them are player run too. And Overwatch is a very complex game at times where, you have to decide the best character to play. But against SrPeakCheck, you're right, you can kind of play whatever just to counter them because you know exactly what they're going to do, Moxie. Symmetra, May, Reinhardt, Baptiste, and Lucio. That's just that composition 24/7. It's on you to kind of figure out the Rubik's Cube, right?
Unless they're up against Twisted Minds and they see Labdor in the mix. Then we're going to see a little bit. Oh, are we gonna get a Reinhardt? LH Cloudy in chat is saying that's not right. I mean, he's correct. Vestula is currently on the team first. But it's going to be swapping over towards the Orisa as SrPeakCheck. It looks like they're actually not going to go for that really forward aggressive hold because they see that Oblivione are going to be coming, something like the Bastion. And that is just going to rip through the Reinhardt. The closer that you hold towards the Bastion, the more problematic it's going to be to try and find those kills early onto the attacker side.
And Cookie this time is going to be on the Sombra. Meanwhile, EXO playing that Bastion Ori again. Canale gets poked early on. Able to stay alive, though, on the backside. SrPeakCheck just looking for the fold here. Mamone comes on the left, just spamming Cloudy. Immortality Field already used. Just so much damage being outputted. No kills going in favor of SrPeakCheck either. In fact, it's only going on the side of Cookie, who is swapped over to that Sojourn. So with the Sojourn Bastion, they just really don't give up anything now. Mamone melts Cloudy, and unfortunately, it looks like the win condition of SrPeakCheck is melting away.
Yeah, so Cookie goes on to the Sojourn because you have the added mobility with the shift, right? With the power slide. So W Maimon is literally not just a distraction, he is something that you have to worry about considering he built up 55% to the first artillery strike in that fight alone. But because everyone on SrPeakCheck side is so busy trying to deal with the Bastion, Cookie gets an absolute free pass and is able to blitz through the backline as Sky has already been able to blitz his way into the first amplification matrix. SrPeakCheck going to have to teleport behind the team and look to drop down.
Yeah, TP come through towards the backside of the payload, but that shield is going to be deleted by both Cookie and W Maimon. You're just relying on 5 right clicks at the moment. Ant Matrix committed, Bastola Javelins away. Cookie eventually will find that kill onto Dala. Cloudy gets killed as well, and that's 2-1 team fights in a row. Really nothing going in favor of SrPeakCheck. They also committed an Ant Matrix there in that fight as well.
That's really unfortunate. They tried to commit that Ant Matrix to try and regain control around that corner, but all that does is gut the ultimate economy in the fight afterwards. As you can see, Fi had used the Maywall to stop Sky having the impact with the amplification matrix, but Cookie, he doesn't care. He's already sitting on an entirely different angle and gets to shoot around the wall, and once it disintegrates naturally, he gets to go through the entire rest of the team behind it.
And he just did it again this fight too. I mean, just already removed Dandit, no symmetrical wall here. SrPeakCheck doesn't have to back out and reset again, where EXO just farm up ultimate.
Oh, this is gonna be nasty. Artillery strike comes through as well to make sure that SrPeakCheck aren't able to break through the choke and try to push onto Batstola. That's such an early Maywall that's just absolutely blitzed through by Cookie as they symmetric teleport past the Orisa, but now they're not gonna have it to try and escape Terror Surge.
Into the middle of that Terror Surge, surely Batstola go gets that Immortality field as well to stay healthy, but now drops the Terror Surge as they had to push past that Sim wall. Beat drop committed by Dola. All of it gets removed. Cookie now over the top, drops that ultimate as well. Blizzard here to zone him, but he just flies away. Also, Captive Sun over the back, finds Ghost from the grave. Cookie as well connects on LH Cloudy. And I don't know how SrPeakCheck come back into this match, but at this point, EXO are just rolling.
Fi tried to go for the hero play, like you said, throwing in the Blizzard to zone out the overclock, but then throws himself into Cookie's line of sight with the block to try and stop the overclock from just shooting through it. As SrPeakCheck with the symmetric teleporter will actually be able to recontest, and off of the back of the kills that Fi was able to set up, Dustin, they've been able to find the turnaround that they needed. They stopped the payload before it hits the checkpoint.
Still 3 minutes left to go, and Fi's also on the Tracer, so a bit of a different swap up. We haven't seen much Tracer in this current patch. Immortality field committed and Matrix on both sides. Guy drops his a bit aggressively. Cloudy sitting on the back with the Shatter, ready to go. But they should understand where it's coming from. Shatter connects actually onto Batstola after that cooldown is committed, but he still stays alive because of all that damage reduction. Cookie as well finds Dandit over the back. So no more Symmetra. Fi also gets found, and the rest of SrPeakCheck are soon to follow as EXO connect to the checkpoint and move on to third.
So you have to remember, not only does Batstola have the damage reduction, the reason why Orisa, Iliari, and Baptiste work so well together is because of the sheer amount of healing that you can put onto the Orisa, knowing that you're not going to be forced into using things like the Immortality Field, because the Orisa gets to sustain on the front line and absorb, soak up all of the damage alongside things like the Javelin Spin. As we're going to see SrPeakCheck now again teleport in, but Cookie has the angle to try to just land these shots right through the sliver of wall that's exposed, and he finds it! Ghost goes down without the Baptiste. The Rhino is sure to follow, and now that the Rhine Shield is removed, Kaneo gets to absolutely clean house with Captive Sun.
Man, okay, 3 minutes and 50 seconds left. SrPeakCheck just looking for some form of stability at this point, Moxie. I mean, how do they do it here? They've got that Symmetra wall, but there's so much pressure right now on them.
Oblivione only have 3 deaths total for that team at the moment.
Oh my god.
That's the amount of healing, sustain, and just disengagement potential available to them at the moment. As Fi is trying to build up to the Blizzard, but Cookie's just not going to allow SrPeakCheck any time to delay until those ultimates bolts up. He's got the high ground in the sim wall. It comes up, but not in time to save Dandit.
Oh, and now the beat drop is here. I mean, Artillery Strike is also connecting. While they actually try to charge onto him during it, Batstola will fall to Fi, though. As long as Cloudy can stay alive for a little bit of time, it might buy SrPeakCheck a bit of positioning. Kaneo, though, trades back Fi as Sky goes down, so no more heals on the offensive side besides just through Kaneo, who has dropped his turret in a very aggressive position. Cookie as well over the top will find Dala, but Dandit will trade him back. So with that, EXO back up for now.
Batstola going to be on the Doomfist. Sky as well coming in onto the Kiriko. They know Shatter and Blizzard. This is the thing that we saw SrPeakCheck try to use on Ruins, and this is the swap that they made if they thought they had to take a fast re-engagement to try to counter it. But now that there's a little bit of a lull, they're gonna go and swap right back in.
Okay. They walk back into this fight. Minute 47 seconds left. SrPeakCheck, could potentially stop EXO here, but they need one good team fight. Maybe a big Shatter from Cloudy coming up could be the savior that they need. Everybody's lined up on this outside. EXO now have to walk in. Captive Sun from Kaneo. Also pooping Cloudy from the high ground. Do they sustain to the Captive Sun, though? It looks like they do for now. Shatter, flank from Cloudy, onto the Bastion of EXO. But he's got the Immortality Field, so he just lives for now. After that ability is used. Now Javelin spin from Vistola as he tries to walk out and create some space towards this payload. Dandid looks to contest that objective. Blizzard is well committed from Fi towards Vistola, knowing he doesn't have any way of getting out of it after committing his cooldown earlier. WMAMO will find Cloudy though, so both tanks removed. But SrPeakCheck have the inside angle. They also have closer spawns to play around. So as long as they just sustain, Cloudy and Ghost will be back here. EXO need to find these kills right here and now to close out on the series. 52 seconds left. Dala on the inside. Walks around this May block, but eventually will get down. Kaneo also finds Dandid, but not after. Cloudy has found Cookie. Also, Vistola has came back on the Doomfist on the inside. Tries to find Fi out of the ice block and will eventually do so. 36 seconds left though. After that pick, Vistola just opts to back up and wait for his team in this overtime potential.
SrPeakCheck do not have the sim wall to be able to try to live through the amplification matrix combined with the overclock, and as a result, EXO, this is that time to shine. WMAMON is on the main as Kaneo tries to take the off angle and pressure the members of SrPeakCheck off of the high ground, funneling them towards the Bap and Sojourn.
12 seconds left. Dandid gets picked off by WMAMO. Cookie with the overclock finds Dala. And with those 2 kills, it surely is enough to capture out the entire map. Sky also finds Fi. Cloudy fell earlier. Captive Sun just to zone. In EXO in overtime will capture out on Circuit Royale.
SrPeakCheck doing a very good job of using C as well as a really fast re-engagement on B. The fact that they were able to use that Symmetra teleporter to contest back into B is massive for the team, because it does mean that when we head into C, they have the time, they have the ultimates to be able to cycle through and keep EXO stuffed and choked for as long as possible and force them into going on to things like the Doomfist to be able to swap. Unfortunately, at the end of the day, with the ultimates that EXO have and the composition that they're running, all they need to do is cycle through those ultimates, using each one to buy themselves a little bit more space on the payload every single fight until we see it stop exactly where it is now. And then they send Kaneo on the flank all the way into this high ground approach to just push these members of SrPeakCheck away from the one place that they could have ran away to, while still having the time and distance to be able to recontest onto the payload before it hits the checkpoint. And as a result, they just eat so much damage from the overclock, from the amplification matrix, and they're not able to recontest as the Captive Sun just gets to zone everybody away.
It's just too much value out of it. Like you said, Kaneo doing a great job. As well as Sky on this support duo. Sky hasn't really lost a step since coming back into Contenders. Has really taken one of those, one of the crowns of best flex supports in Europe so far. Obviously on this map has been a bit more of that sustain that Oblivione need, whereas SrPeakCheck, similar compositions on both sides actually, rocking out again as they did on the defensive side as EXO.
Gonna be a TP onto the high ground for SrPeakCheck, but oh no, they get split away from Ghost. And as a result, they can't actually take the engagement. They have to double back to help the Baptiste with the Rhine Shield.
Cloudy and the rest of SrPeakCheck around that first bend, waiting for the Symmetra teleporter play. Been a bit slower this time. Now they come through that top with the TP. Go across the bridge, but the cart really hasn't moved. So EXO just kind of relocate, try to find the May over the back potentially, and to stop this payload. Fi comes over the top, potentially be regrouped with his team. Teleporter still available. They don't take it this time. They sit onto the main, and they find WMAMON through all of that healing and Sky. So nice 2 kills for them. Dandid also finds Kaneo. In about a minute off the clock, Cookie will find Dandid on the stagger, but finally SrPeakCheck control that payload.
So SrPeakCheck essentially have to play ebb and flow of this composition. They can go really, really quickly, but at the start of these fights, they have to take it a lot slower because it's the only way that they're going to be able to take the pylon out before the fights properly begin. You're not running the Orisa, you can't just hit fortify body for an entire team, take the pylon down, guarantee a 12-second cooldown on the heal burst, and as a result, take the fight. Then you have to get the pylon out of the way, otherwise no one's going to die. As WMAMON does actually die. Really good amplification matrix from Ghost to set them up around the corner. And EXO, without a Symmetra teleporter, can't disengage safely.
Man, that was such a good play from Ghost and the likes of SrPeakCheck. Now that it's going to cap out on this objective, potentially find some stagger kills here, but they don't have the Lucio to speed up and find the extra kills here as they're going for blood. They still got WMAMON on the retreat. Oh no, that's terrible for EXO.
Yeah, WMA are not able to build up to the artillery strike and force SrPeakCheck back. Now this Rhine composition gets to play as aggressive as they want. And this is huge because now they get to play into the space before the Bastion is set up. So as long as they keep applying this pressure with fire strikes and poke coming through from the main Symmetra with the wall, they're going to cordon off Exo's aggression.
WMA comes back though, gets revenge. Danid found early before that Symmetra wall is out. Also gets the kill on the Cloudy with the grenade. Kanale on the backside able to find 4 minutes left on the clock now. Exo stabilizing towards the defensive hold here as Vistola looks for the stagger kill onto Dala. Can he potentially find it? No, too much healing here on the backside. But Kanale drops and finds Danid. Nice shot from him.
That's going to be something that you have to be worried about. If there's a Sojourn or even an Iliari now, on the defensive side, this high ground is going to be so problematic for these compositions to not lose a player. But WMA goes down early yet again, and without the threat of the Bastion, SrPeakCheck doesn't need to use the Symmetra teleporter to engage in. They can just walk straight on the team, and Exo is forced to pull back.
We're back in that neutral fight again. WMA will now come back. Artillery strikes in to stop this Matrix from finding maximum value, but it's still running. Immortality field used from the offensive side. Kanale on the backside, still sitting with Captive Sun as well. Cloudy Shield gets poked so low. Gets that beat drop though, forced away as well. And then incoming Terra Surge onto Ghost in that combo, Moxie. You talk about it. It's just too much damage to deal with Captive Sun and that Terra Surge. Exo stop SrPeakCheck with that combination.
When Captive Sun first released, there were a couple of combos that everyone was like, okay, this is the new Wombo combo. It very much feels like we hopped in a time machine and we get to see Graviton and Dragon Strike again. That's just how good it is. Terror Surge and Captive Sun, like you said, absolutely brutal as SrPeakCheck come in with the Symmetra teleporter, claps onto Oblivione with a really fast shatter that they're just not expecting.
Yeah, that was nice. WMA was able to find one on the trade, but it's not enough. Unfortunately, nice TP play. That tempo, that pacing from SrPeakCheck, too hard to deal with. As with 2 minutes and 22 seconds in the Streets phase, they now move on to third with a reasonable time bank of 3 minutes and 47 seconds.
Yeah, sometimes you play it slow, sometimes you play it fake, and sometimes you play it incredibly quickly. And I like that we're seeing SrPeakCheck actually mix it up, because a couple of weeks ago, when we saw a Symmetra teleporter, we would know that Cloudy was going through it and he would use the shatter. And as a result, every other team that they played would know. But because they've been mixing up the timings, Oblivione doesn't know whether it's a fake TP or whether it's a shatter TP, and as a result, they get it wrong and they position disconnected to be hit by the shatter for every single one of them. As I'm talking about disconnected, that's one heck of a disconnect. Fire is able to find the wall separating the Orisa, but the Bastion does burst through it.
Immortality for Immortality. Kanale also will find Danid again. I mean, he's doing such a good job finding these pickoffs after being subbed in. Vistola also connects onto Vi, and the damage output just is not there anymore for SrPeakCheck as they just go in for the team wipe here. 2 minutes 52 seconds left on the clock now. Exo will get a hold in third for the first time.
Danid is going to have that Symmetra wall to try and use to sustain through the Bastion poke coming out from Oblivione's side, because this is where it gets dangerous. This is where you want to be able to use the Symmetra TP, not to fake out, but to properly reposition, as otherwise you're losing a player to a Sojourn or an Iliari.
It's come through also with the wall. Danid sits around that payload. Vistola getting deleted, but eventually just drops that Terra Surge for not only that damage, but a lot of that reduction. Like I said, Captive Sun also here. Does that combo work out for them this time? It does get everybody low. In fact, it does. I mean, it spreads like a wildfire. Dala goes down. Cookie as well on the low ground will find Fi. And again, just too much pressure on SrPeakCheck. We're entering last fight, or 2 minutes left rather, on their attacking side.
It's a smart angle as well from Kanale, because Cloudy tries to use the shield to block it, but there's a sliver of the shield and space above it from between it and the ceiling, and Kanale is actually able to find the angle to slip it directly over and onto the two players that had looked to Cloudy's shield as their safety line, and unfortunately all it does is sell them short, as we are going to have a little bit of a pause. 1 minute 44 seconds still online for SrPeakCheck, both Blizzard and Shatter, for them to try and find some form of movement on the payload. But Dustin, it's not looking great. Oblivione, with just so much burst potential on all of these different heroes in this composition, just have so many avenues of being able to find a kill before SrPeakCheck are ready to take a fight.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the big catalyst, I think, for Exo kind of figuring things out now is, you know, Kanale kind of got warmed up on that first map on New Bonnie, but ever since then really has kind of come in on this Ilyari and actually playing quite well. You know, on the off angle, it felt like Kaneo was getting picked a bit too much potentially on Nubani, but towards the latter half, I mean, he really calmed down in terms of the depth department, just upped that damage output like we saw. I don't think we've seen Kaneo really get picked off first at all. It's been really hard for Fi to hit those icicles onto such a small hitbox. So far, you're right, Moxie. I mean, Exo's looking damn good at the moment.
It's not just Kaneo either. Take a look at the stats, because one person's leading this entire lobby, and I guarantee you it's not who you think it is. I'll give you one guess. Who do you think is top DPS?
Who I think is top DPS? I'm going to go with Cookie.
It's Vestola.
Vestola? Oh my god, that Orisa.
It's the Orisa. 13,326. Cookie and W Mainwin not far behind. W Mainwin has output 12.4k, Cookie 11.5. But Vestola with the Orisa poke and the increase of the fall off for the Orisa's range is just doing so much at the moment, because remember, Orisa is continuous. As long as you use the Javelin spin to be able to refresh the cooldown on your primary, you get to eternally chunk down SrPeakCheck as they make these engagements.
This is too much to deal with at the moment. Now SrPeakCheck on their offensive side. 1 minute and 20 seconds left. A lot of time burned off from EXO. I mean, they've won maybe 2 team fights, but they've been long ones. Now a TP on towards that payload. Artillery strikes comes through. Cloudy tries to block some of them, but Vestola is there over that back with the Javelin. Moan also with the grenade. Cloudy will find the pin kill onto Kaneo, but might be too late for them. I mean, they've built up some ultimates, so this last fight coming up is going to be the big one for SrPeakCheck.
Yeah, they do have that shatter, and Vestola, as much damage as he's doing in poke, doesn't really have the means other than being able to lodge a spear in the Rhine's shoulder as he brings the hammer down, of being able to cancel it out. As we're going to see immediately amplification matrix from Exo to stop SrPeakCheck from finding the combination, and that allows Kaneo the time, the setup to be able to come with the Captive Sun, and SrPeakCheck, the next push is done.
I don't know. I did not expect that to go one-sided in the favor of EXO, but they did drop both support ultimates at the very least, and SrPeakCheck are coming back with some ultimates.
Fire's got the Blizzard, but the reason why EXO was so confident in using both support ultimates is, again, Vestola is going to have the Terror Surge to be able to fortify through the Blizzard, and as a result, SrPeakCheck can't just teleport onto payload, throw it down, and zone out the team.
TP over the top, charge comes through. WMAMO already pressuring Cloudy down to 277 health though. Eventually gets healed up. Shatter comes through to stop the overclock from finding value. Both DPSs get removed, and the charge from Cloudy, and they put the team on his back. Terror Surge committed from Vestola, finds one. Kaneo also over the top, finds another, and he's gonna live over on the backside. I mean, he's trying to make things kind of dicey for the likes of SrPeakCheck. Cloudy hasn't really gotten those heals just yet. He's going to back up towards his team as overtime's still ticking down. SrPeakCheck have ultimates. Oh my god,
that outburst! That almost got the Lucio off the map. Kaneo will be able to live and regroup with the rest of his team. Now we're going to see the Blizzard come through. Vestola does not have the Terror Surge to be able to body for it, so it is buying the distance for SrPeakCheck to keep the payload moving.
Big Blizzard, some extra wall here as well. I mean, EXO committed so many ultimates into lost team fights prior, so, I mean, this could end up being incredibly detrimental for them. Sky also goes down. Cookie has to drop from the top. I mean, the Ricky test is terrible here. Artillery strikes come through, but nobody to touch. And in overtime, SrPeakCheck cap out. Now we're tied minute to minute. Both teams get their attacking try again.
Oh, boy. I love it. I love close Overwatch because you can see the adaptations coming through from both of these teams. You look at the engagements that Cloudy took. He ignored Vestola. That was the huge key moment when they're trying to push through that choke. Cloudy ignores Vestola and lands the shatter not onto the Orisa, but onto the squishies away from her. So as a result, the Orisa can't peel. That's one of the main faults that the Orisa has. There's the Captive Sun, by the way, right over the Rhine shield to be able to connect onto Dull, and then, like you said, just spreading like wildfire onto those players that are cramped up in such an enclosed position. But Cloudy going for not just the shatter onto the squishies rather than the Orisa, but also finding the pins onto Sky past Vestola to manage to make sure that even with the Orisa, even with all of the chunky fortify extra padding that you have with your 50% damage reduction, you're still able to use the Mortality Field, keep yourself alive through the Terror Surge, and once Terror Surge is gone, throw in the Blizzard to actual meaningful value.
Oh man, I mean, this is such a close series now. Very clutch plays as well from SrPeakCheck towards the end. You know, really smart with their ultimates to not overuse them, too. I mean, they got the Terror Surge out for free. They got that Overclock out then with the Shatter. I mean, things are looking up for them at the moment, but they start on the defensive side, whereas EXO on the attack, I mean, we know what they're going to run.
Are we going to see the super aggressive hold from SrPeakCheck, or are they going to respect the Bastion? Because they can go one of two ways, right? They can burn off so much time from this 1 minute and make sure that the payload doesn't move, or the Bastion treads through every single one of them and Oblivione gets so much free payload distance. It does look like SrPeakCheck going to be going for the aggressive spawn hold.
Yeah, they're going really close, unlike their previous defensive side. Cloudy as those teleporters on the left side. Kanale has walked out, wall off him as well. He gets deleted by the hammer of the LH Cloudy. Cloudy just moving back and forth, a bouncer on the inside spawn of EXO.
Really good wall as well from Fi to make sure that he's able to keep Kanale outside of that spawn so that the Outburst doesn't carry the Iliari back towards the safeties. Like you said, even that sort of distraction tactic that EXO were trying to sleight of hand their way into the other side of spawn door doesn't work because Cloudy just charges right down to meet them at the other door, as they're almost down their entire minute and they don't have a single ultimate pulled up.
They try to charge through now. Fi gets poked to half, but Dan is able to find Sky. And then WMA went on the back though. Nice grenade on the Cloudy. No more main tank for the likes of SrPeakCheck. Well, Vastola still healthy, but Fi finds Kanale. Sky got picked off earlier. No heals here. Cookie gets poked solo. WMA in the clutch, able to find Dandid here on this payload as well. But Ghost finds Vastola. All those heals were gone. Fi drops the Blizzard. Who's going to be able to touch? The wall is there from Fi. Oh my god, Cookie slides in last second. That's huge because they can just find the stagger kills now and keep this card pushing.
SrPeakCheck thought that was that moment, Dustin. They committed not only the Blizzard, but also the Amplification Matrix. All they had to do was let EXO take that fight and just regroup with Cloudy when no one can touch onto the payload and Overtime's been running so low. But it's the power slide from Cookie that saves the day for EXO, and SrPeakCheck now don't have an ultimate to rely on.
Artillery strikes come through from EXO towards that tree. Also onto Dandid, making sure that he's pressured out before that sim wall can be even built. And there's so many ultimates now. Captive stun comes through. Vastola gets poked low, trying to just zone with it at the moment. Drops it onto that Symmetra, but the wall is there to prevent any follow-up from kind of coming through. Vastola trying to play on this payload. Build up towards that Terror Surge. Has built it. Gets 3. Cloudy's able to find Sky, though. Beat drop here also around that wall, so everybody can just zone the Terror Surge. Now Vastola's in trouble. Missing a lot of that backline support. Cloudy just tries to zone out Cookie. Dan is able to find Kanale. Eventually, Cloudy might be able to be found, but nobody can touch. And SrPeakCheck will stop EXO right before the checkpoint of first.
Yeah, Cookie tried to power slide past the Reinhardt, noticing his position just a little bit too late. But Dustin, let's be honest, for the 1 minute that EXO had available, that payload got so much more distance that it really shouldn't have. SrPeakCheck, if they lose this map, they're going to be kicking themselves for not pressing tab and seeing that Cookie had gone for the Sojourn swap to power slide through Blizzard.
Ooh, man, I mean, this is a close series right now at the moment. We got to see some resilience possibly as well out of EXO Moxie. I mean, you know, we saw on their defensive side, I hate to be that guy, a little Chokage coming through from EXO. The only reason SrPeakCheck are even still in it is because of, you know, ult management. So EXO really gonna have to be resilient alongside Cookie at the moment, who has been, like you said, just such a standout player for EXO.
1 minute on the clock for SrPeakCheck. They have a couple of win conditions they can try and build into the Amp Matrix. EXO aren't running something like the Mei, so they can't immediately wall it up. They have to go for the disengagement, especially because they're running the Orisa, but they're not running the Lucer. They're prioritizing the Iliari. They're wanting to go for the damage output, as well as being able to control all of these off angles, and on defense, playing with the pylon. Making full advantage again of the fact that SrPeakCheck don't have an easy way without having to invest the Symmetra teleporter first to take that down and put it on the 12-second cooldown.
Well, here we go. I mean, it feels like whoever wins this map it feels like they're going to win the series at this point, but it is a very hyper-competitive one.
That's Pylon.
Yeah, Pylon already removed. Nice shot from him. Hart pushing around this first Ben. SrPeakCheck giving up a lot of space.
EXO, no. They're waiting for SrPeakCheck to be able to teleport onto this high ground. It's when we move around this first corner that they're going to have a lot more value with the Bastion and Orisa being able to hold on and burst SrPeakCheck down.
Poking onto Cloudy's shield. Cookie actually gets stuck on that wall, though. slides away, knowing that cooldown is gone. Ghost able to find him. Nice wall from Fi, and the follow-up on the Cookie, who could not slide away after using it. And everything's falling apart at the seams now for EXO. I mean, they use Immortality Field here around the corner. They could potentially get picked off here as the Ant Matrix is being built from Ghost. Uses his own Immortality Field in the corner. Is building up this Ant Matrix on this corner. It's going to be disgusting. Ghost also finds Mamone. Vastola runs towards that payload, but the follow-up damage isn't there. He's able to find Cloudy, that's one, but gets removed, and they just fall apart at the seams. That's what we're talking about. EXO lose on Circuit Royale. Now SrPeakCheck up 2-1 on that map point, or on that map point victory. I mean, that was an absolute dismantling. EXO just, what do they do, man? Like that. Moxie, I know I'm just rambling here at this point, but they really just in the clutch keep falling apart.
That was a dismantling. Let's be 100% clear with this, because Fi finds the win condition that his team needs. The May Wall, like you said, stops Cookie from being able to power slide back to his team, and the Sojourn is what Oblivione are relying on. They're running the Bastion, who isn't going to be able to take an off angle, has to be playing so much closer to the Baptiste and the Orisa. It's Cookie that you're relying on being able to see where SrPeakCheck teleport to, and forcing Cloudy into making the really tough decision of which direction to hold his shield in, so that you're always stuck in a lose-lose situation. Hold your shield up to the Sojourn, expose yourself to the Orisa and the Bastion, and vice versa. But they lose the Sojourn, and immediately they have to try and disengage, hoping that Cookie is going to be able to regroup, and that with the Orisa, they're going to be able to sustain themselves on the cart with the presence until Cookie's able to make it. But that just doesn't happen because, again, Fi comes in with a really good placed wall and forces Vastola out of line of sight of the healers, so everyone from SrPeakCheck gets to chunk down the backline and then turn their attention to deal with the Orisa, who's already had to burn through every single sustained cooldown possible.
You're 100% right. It just feels like, you know, EXO's game plan has shifted. It's so hard to deal with that Bastion, in which they were doing so earlier, right, Moxie? I mean, consistently, EXO was doing a good job against the SrPeakCheck, but for some reason, whenever there was maybe a minute left on the clock or something, EXO was just like, okay, let's play reserved, let's play safe, you know, and that kind of results in SrPeakCheck taking full advantage of it and kind of getting whatever they want done. You know, always being that first aggressor, always being the one to make a move. I mean, Moxie, we saw on the defensive side, the reason why Fi was able to get the wall, like you said, was because, I mean, they just gave up so much space. We saw on EXO's first defense, they were playing a lot closer, not conceding any of that space, playing a lot more proactive, and that resulted in at least a closer matchup. But when they just let SrPeakCheck do whatever they want, obviously SrPeakCheck are going to take full advantage of it, in which now the likes of Oblivione are going to take us to Esperanza. That will be our next map. For Oblivione's side, why do you think this is a map that they're confident in winning, considering Circuit Royale obviously, you know, didn't go in their favor? It was so close, but what's different maybe about this push map that could give them an edge?
A lot of high ground control, honestly. Like, this is setting Cookie up to win. If you're able to win the first fight and you're able to establish your Sojourn on that bridge, again, we're going to see SrPeakCheck having to utilize a lot of this engagement time to try to find these symmetric teleports. And obviously, if you control the objective on push, the longer the other team takes to be able to set up, the more distance you're going to be able to pick up, until all of that distance is going to snowball into a map win. But we're actually going to have a substitution come through on the side of Oblivione. We're going to be seeing Chase Torch rather than Vastola for the team, so maybe we're going to be seeing a different composition come through, potentially some more of the Orisa for EXO to try to play into, so that they can have that frontline presence while still setting Cookie up for the offline angles.
Yep. And Crispy also back in that lineup, so you're right, Moxie, they're putting back in their original map or Koth map, their original control map team, right? Obviously, Chase Torch played the first one, Crispy as well. Unfortunately, they lost that first map, so we'll have to see how they do on this one. But both, I mean, obviously this team is prepared for this. Push maps, they're deciding with Chase Torch Crispy. Also with control maps, they're trying with Chase Torch Crispy. Whereas on pretty much every single payload map, they're like, okay, let's just play with Vastola, let's play with Canale, and let's play that kind of slow, pokey composition. Whereas I guess Push maybe leans more towards that control style, Moxie, right? Where everything's a bit more fast-paced. You can't really set up those defensive angles that you would like to, right? I mean, everything kind of leads more towards that aggressive Lucio composition, potentially potentially. But we have to mention, you know, obviously in that first map, EXO unfortunately lost it with this composition, with these players. I mean, what do you think they do differently here on Esperanza with these players? Because obviously that first map still went pretty heavily in SrPeakCheck's favor. I don't feel like EXO really had a chance on Ilios.
So we could potentially see one thing that we haven't got to see yet, which is the Junker Queen. Because Chase Dodge has played Junker Queen in the past, and Crispy coming in on the Lucio to be able to better enable you to run into your enemies as quickly as possible. It's something that SrPeakCheck are concerned about, considering the fact that the last time we actually saw Twisted Minds playing against a Reinhardt, they played the Junker Queen. And yes, it wasn't a control point, but they were just able to entirely shut the Reinhardt down to the point that we didn't see a single shatter get to be built up in an entire round of control, because every single time the Ryan wanted to move forward, he was just taking so much pressure from the Junker Queen, but also from all of those off angles with things like the Sojourn looking to pick apart all of the squishies hidden behind the shield. However, for EXO, they've definitely got to think of something to be able to deal with these fast rotations, because having a Symmetra and being able to really quickly rotate into these fights and also take the high ground away from the other side, even if in the fight previously you'd lost control of it, it's such a huge boon, and it really minimizes the amount of space that's available for the DPS on the other side.
Yeah, it's been so tough for them to deal with. We'll have to see if EXO can kind of come back through and take this map win. You know, they're thinking Esperanza's the map that they want to go through to take the victory today. Whereas, you know, obviously now we're on map point for the likes of SrPeakCheck before they're in the freaking grand finals. I don't think we could have expected maybe SrPeakCheck to make it even this far, but if they make it to the grand finals, I mean, that's already a victory for this team, who is, I mean, they're basically kind of like a stream team, Moxie. Like, they have Cloudy going live, you know, on Twitch, just always streaming their matches, just consistently playing to a high level, even to an audience that likes he has. And, you know, SrPeakCheck have really done a good job following up with him, right? You know, making sure that they are running that composition that plays best with Reinhardt, truly living to that, you know, play to your strengths kind of angle. Whereas EXO, you know, Moxie, at times they feel like they're a bit confused, right? I mean, Chase Torch played a little bit of Orisa on that first map. Pistola also played a majority Orisa. But Chase Torch obviously maybe flexed onto that Doomfist. The composition does feel a bit shaky for EXO at the moment, right?
Yeah, I mean, we have seen the Doomfist from EXO the last time they played this map, with W Maymun also swapping onto the Genji. It didn't work out that great every single time. W Maymun, it started off wonderfully. I will actually preface with saying they did so well in the first 8 minutes, and then it all just started slipping away from them. And I think there was just so much pressure that it got to them, because they were up against Twisted Minds. They could almost have taken Twisted Minds to a map 5 for the first time, and then we saw these blades start to come through, and there was just no space really created to distract attention away from W Maymun's entrance. And as a result, when the Genji pulled the blade out, everybody else pulled out everything to stop the Genji in his path, and he went straight back to spawn, and it happened twice. And it was really sad to see, because they went from being so coordinated and synergized and moving into spaces and shutting down angles and picking these targets and prioritizing every single person they needed to take out perfectly, into just absolutely falling apart at the seams. And I think that's something that EXO is definitely going to have in the back of their minds. There's a lot of pressure on them. Even yesterday we heard from Twisted Minds, from KSA himself, he thinks that so many of these teams in EU could have been facing up against them in the grand finals, but if he was really pushed to answer, he would say not EXO, not the team that faced them in the grand finals last season, but the team that currently up against SrPeakCheck. And if that isn't something that's going to affect your confidence, I don't know what is.
Yeah, EXO got to show some resilience here on this map. You know, subbing back in Crispy, 100% right. I mean, SrPeakCheck, really, they've got all the, you know, they've got all of the momentum on their side. EXO now have to work back into this series. Obviously, this is the map they think they could do so on, with Cookie onto the Sojourn and W Maymun onto the Bastion again.
It's been working, right? Cookie has been hitting the shots. W Maymun has been making LH Cloudy's life an absolute living nightmare, as well as Chase Torch getting to come in, fortify through with this Orisa, sustain on the front line. They just have to play perfectly. They cannot afford to let the chaos that SrPeakCheck is trying to dismantle this composition into falling into affect them the way that SrPeakCheck are attempting.
Cookie over the top on the bridge, just kind of poking out, building that railgun charge. Does take some Lucio shots, though. Dala trying to keep him in check. Grenade is well committed from WMA on the front, just to keep pressuring that shield, though the robot is in control of SrPeakCheck first. They also are just consistently pressuring out EXO at the moment, who just have to keep backing up, giving up that space. 5 leaders now have built up for SrPeakCheck, ready to go aggressive with Danet on the right side. Gets up on some of that charge, but just kind of backs up with his life. Has Dala there for the speed. Drops the turrets down below, which aren't broken just yet until Chasor take him up. A Fi with a right click from the heavens. Cookie gets removed immediately. Then the TP comes through after finding that kill on the top to keep that pressure onto EXO, who now have to wait for Cookie to come back. Amon is trying to pressure out the front, but the Sarissa and the rest of his team is pressured back. Chase Torch will get found by Dala. That's a huge stagger kill as well. Symmetric teleporter. Dana just goes aggressive with it. On the W. Maimon has the peel and the pocket there, down to 7 HP, but is still alive because of excellent support play from SrPeakCheck as they continue up to 30 meters.
There's so much pressure coming through from SrPeakCheck. They don't have anything that naturally can try to contest the high ground to high ground against Cookie, but they have Spam and Fi and Danet, Cloudy, even Ghost as well as Dala. Every single one of them make sure that Cookie is just not safe to be able to hold the angle build up railgun and use the threat to keep SrPeakCheck away. And as a result, when the Sojourn goes down, SrPeakCheck entirely collapse on the members of EXO. It does mean Silver Lining Sky has been able to build up to the amplification matrix. They're going to use it immediately because that W may run up, but SrPeakCheck have already picked up forward spawn.
They have picked up forward spawn, you're right. And in fact, they're trying to peel off Cookie now on this bridge side. They're just getting stagger kills as SrPeakCheck back away around the corner, concede a bit of the space towards the robot as EXO set up on the bridge.
Fi is going to have that Blizzard. W does have Artillery Strike to be able to peel through it. And crucially, again, EXO will have control of the high ground. Cookie just trying to build up as much charge as possible, but SrPeakCheck uses the Symmetric Teleporter and go directly under bridge without having to worry about it.
A nice artillery strike, though, surely will force the lamp from SrPeakCheck. So Immortality build used because of that artillery strike early on. Crispy sitting with the beat drop, ready to go over the top, also peeling away the back. There's the Blizzard, and Mamon gets stuck in it, so the beat drop has to be committed. Terra Surge on the backside so he doesn't get frozen. Chase Torch, front on the back. Shatter comes through from Cloudy, connects on the full Sky and Mamon. Mamon goes down to Cloudy, but Cookie trades onto one. Pops the overclock as well. Cloudy gets the charge on the Sky, but Cookie gets the trade, so it's even so far. 2 for 2. Cookie tries to go on the inside, but he's found by Fi. Nice right click from him. Robot, though, still being pushed forward. EXO understanding this fight is going to be hard to win, so they just want to get that robot pushed. And then now SrPeakCheck have to come back around as EXO try to reset, as SrPeakCheck have control of that bot.
WMA going onto the Torbjorn, seeing that SrPeakCheck are just trying to take away all of the space that Cookie has very little angles to be able to work with and find the kills the way that EXO knows that he's able to. But the turret is going to go down without a shield to be able to try to alleviate it from the spam pressure. And now it's going to be up to WMA with the primary fire. It did see a buff to the speed, so it really is going to start chunking away to make sure that SrPeakCheck don't get to just walk up onto Cookie.
A bit of push in here. I mean, maybe Cookie on the Bastion has been, a big reason why EXO was winning, but on the Sojourn, he just can't get these kills fast enough. Crispy tries to go aggressive on the top. Ant Matrix committed over the top side as well. Danet goes so low, but stays alive. The turret is the only thing found so far. Cookie, though, finds that kill on the Danet. That's what they need for the links of Oblivione. And for them to play safe. They control the robot again. SrPeakCheck go for a very fast reset.
Cookie trying to find an exit kill. He does have 92 rail charge, but it's going to start to run out. As again, SrPeakCheck just making sure he's not free to be able to take that high ground angle and use the fact that SrPeakCheck aren't running hit scan to try to keep pace with him. The way we've seen Twist Minds have to swap quartz onto something like the Ash to try to keep Cookie off.
Good heals from Sky to keep everybody healthy, even though they're taking some poke from SrPeakCheck, but SrPeakCheck have the ultimates to work with. They use that wall. Cookie goes for a deep angle behind enemy lines, but everybody just walks away from him and take this robot on the other side. They committed that turret, though, or that wall. EXO have not used any ultimates just yet. Cloudy tries to zone off towards that payload. Nice May wall to zone away Oblivione as SrPeakCheck try to run away with the robot. Beat drop committed from SrPeakCheck. Then the Terror Surge comes out from Chase Force. Does he find the kills through it? In fact, he does! Slam dunk onto both Dala and Cloudy, but not after Sky is dead. Is it enough for EXO as Cookie is so low on the front? Chase Torch almost dies to 5, but luckily for EXO, they get the follow-up kills and are in control of that robot once again.
A lot of ultimates having to be invested, both Molten Core and Terror Surge, to be able to lock onto those players of SrPeakCheck stuck inside the Orisa ultimate. Is SrPeakCheck still in the lead in terms of distance? And Cookie has to be careful. He will have control of the high ground. As a result, EXO can't afford to keep the objective pushing, and SrPeakCheck will cut them off before it passes bridge.
Cookie's gonna have to go absolutely crazy in this fight over their aggressive bridge side. Sees Fives over the top, drops down below, immediately pops the overclock onto the back. Maywall to slow him down for now. Cloudy comes through with the charge, so he just decides to shift up to the high ground. While Cloudy is the focal point of the dive at the moment. Gets the shatter kill onto Sky, who went deeper to the back line. Cloudy's still alive. Has a bit of HP to work with. Beat drop committed just to kill Cloudy. Is it enough? Yes, it is. But they lose Chase Torch on the other side, so it's not really in favor of EXO at the moment. SrPeakCheck slowly working things into their favor. Dala trades back Mamone. Ghost finds Cookie. And SrPeakCheck have control of the robot once again.
This was huge. EXO, despite them being the ones to pop the overclock, Sky used Immortality Field before Ghost. And as a result, LH Cloudy gets a free shatter and free follow-up to be able to land the kills. Crispy is forced to, without the Baptiste, invest the Sound Barrier, and as a result, EXO only have Ant Matrix to try to hold around the corner, as Cookie will be able to try to play around that Bat ultimate to keep SrPeakCheck zoned away from him.
There's that Ant Matrix. Cloudy on the inside, just trying to stay alive. Fi gets booped away and shot by Cookie after he was booped. That's an incredibly difficult shot to hit from Cookie. WMAMon also comes through on a Cloudy, and they just find the stagger kills. Javelin committed from Chase Torch. Nice shot from him. And EXO controlled the robot, but, you know, they're not getting a lot of distance in their favor, Moxie.
Yeah, this is the thing. When you run the Symmetra for SrPeakCheck, you come back into these fights so quickly that every single time EXO win a fight, like you said, it feels like the distance that they're actually able to pick up in comparison to SrPeakCheck is only half. As we're going to see, a May will come through from fight just to block off bridge, so EXO aren't able to back on out. They're still actually having to burn both Fortify, Javelin Spin, and Throw to be able to disengage and make it back to the rest of his team. And instantly, SrPeakCheck have full control of the space once more.
Yeah, Molten Core committed there, but the Symmetra wall, like you said, gives SrPeakCheck that space. Now they're under the bridge again. This is a great spot for SrPeakCheck, but Sky, nice shot from Chase Torch, first of all, with the Javelin, and the Sky with the follow-up damage gives them that kill on the Cloudy. No more tank for EXO, and it feels like for EXO to win this series, they've got to win this fight in particular. Immediately, Chase Torch goes for the spin on the backside. Again, no Cloudy in this fight. Allows Cookie to find Ghost. With a lot of that tank pressure alleviated, Dan over the top tries to find that kill, and he does. And also on the Cookie! Oh my god, down to 22 HP. He gets some crucial kills as a beat drop re-engage happens from Dala. EXO get picked apart as SrPeakCheck still have the advantage in terms of meters and control the robot once again with a minute left.
Fully charged Symmetra goes burr, burr, burr all the way through your team. Like you said, that was a fight that crucially EXO needed to win to have any chance of being able to equalize the distance. And now SrPeakCheck have zoning ultimates as we head towards final fight territory. Oblivione have to immediately commit ultimates and find a kill to force SrPeakCheck to back off, or bait SrPakCheck into making the first move, and Crispy goes down 5% for barrier!
Oh no, and Cookie's 30 HP on the back. Fi finds him as well. 2 kills from Fi. You called it earlier, one of the best May players in EU, though. Mamone trades it back, so it's 2 to 2 in this fight in terms of the kill department. Also, EXO has close spawns. Fi on this backside doesn't have speed to escape, so he's just going to get staggered. Dala tries to maybe find him, but as long as Ghost lives here, and SrPeakCheck are probably in a fine position to boop away Crispy. Oh my god, barely lives. Last fight territory now, and EXO have the robot.
This sound barrier is going to be so crucial. SrPeakCheck have the shatter and also the blizzard coming through. Oblivione cannot afford to lose a player early. If one of them goes down on the backline to Fi finding a pick, this map is done.
For Oblivione, sitting around the corner, but really not committing a lot in terms of help in this fight. Checkpoint received. 53 meters for EXO. They need to get up to 60 meters on SrPeakCheck's side. Symmetra wall committed for SrPeakCheck. Also shatter available for Cloudy. Chase Torch has that Terra Surge to zone out that payload if necessary. Symmetrical falling away. Shatter comes through from Cloudy. Nice immortality field, but Crispy's found with the charge. The beat drop is being saved for next season. Oblivione dropped the Molten Core. Cookie gets 1 kill on Cloudy, but is it enough to stay alive? They've got no sustain. Blizzard here on the payload just to secure things. And SrPeakCheck clean up the follow-up kills. They move to the grand finals against Twisted Minds, winning 3-1 in these lower bracket finals.
It's the Shatter. It's the Shatter that wins them this series. Like you said, the Shatter connects on to Crispy, who unfortunately gets hit by it, and then immediately follow-up charged by Cloudy, pinned so he's not able to use the ultimate. And like you said, Dustin, EXO, they'll still have Sound Barrier, but they'll have to use it in another season of Contenders, because that is them out the lower bracket. SrPeakCheck move forward to take on Twisted Minds in the upper bracket grand finals. This is the team that Twisted Minds wanted to run up against. This is the team that they thought would be the hardest to take on. This is going to be such an interesting grand finals between these two.
100%. Yeah, I mean, like, it was, you know, a well-fought game from EXO. They had, you know, their chance to win the series. Third place finish for them in this season, in this European Contender season in Summer Series. Meanwhile, SrPeakCheck, I mean, you said it best, Moxie. I mean, going to that grand finals, Twisted Minds have mentioned how this is one of the hardest teams to beat in Europe for good reason. I mean, it came through probably in the practice, in the scrims against them, and now it's coming through in the grand finals. So SrPeakCheck moving on. I mean, what a win for them. Obviously, to get this series win, to go against the grand finals against Twisted Minds is what they obviously wanted, and to do it in 3-1 fashion is pretty good. It's a good setup for SrPeakCheck in the grand finals, but, you know, they still have one more challenge, the hardest test just yet in European Contenders. That is the likes of Twisted Minds, Moxie. I mean, this is going to be such a interesting grand finals, first of all, but maybe Twisted Minds looking to continue their reign against the likes of SrPeakCheck.
Oh man, you have to feel for EXO. Like, they took us to a map that they thought the Reinhardt composition would struggle the most. The fact is, well, like, you can look at how SrPeakCheck were using the Symmetra teleporters. Unlike the other maps, they weren't really rotating alongside of them. The only times that we saw the Symmetra teleporters being used for rotations were when Cookie was in control of Bridge, and they wanted to just take the fight as quickly as possible without all of the fanfare of just spamming the Sojourn on the off angle, the way that we saw the first fight play out. Like, huge kudos to SrPeakCheck, by the way, to make sure that Cookie just does not get to do anything in the first fight. They are so aware of why EXO decided to take us to this very map, of where Cookie likes to play all of those really comfort picks of angles from for the Sojourn, and they just make sure that he never feels safe to be able to hold that position and look for the kill that would have catapulted momentum onto EXO's side.
Yeah, well, let's see what happens, let's see what happens in the grand final, first of all. But we still have an interview with SrPeakCheck. We're going to be with Danid after a short break, guys, so don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back shortly.
Are you tired of your teammates holding you back from greatness? Ready to seize the initiative, hit shift, and super jump up the ranks? Or become the envy of support players on every map, game, and round? Well, get ready to take flight with the brand new Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin. Each Mercy skin comes with a brand new, hand-painted, handcrafted, free-range, organic, non-GMO, and side effect-free Valkyrie battlesuit, so you can be in style as you beam up your team. And when your Caduceus stuff isn't enough, there's always the Caduceus Blaster! In order to earn your wings, connect your Battle.net account to Twitch and tune in during the Overwatch Contenders Finals on August 29th and 30th to claim your exclusive Contenders Mercy skin. So, what are you waiting for? Suit up and join the fight in your Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin.
Welcome back, everybody. And just to speed boost on into this interview, we brought Danid from SrPeakCheck. Congrats on your win. You guys are in the grand finals. How are you feeling after that match with EXO?
Thank you. I'm pumped. That was fun. We didn't really know what we were gonna expect from them or what they were to play, but we played the same shit anyways. We're ready for everything. So.
So it's interesting, right? Because you guys were already running this Reinhardt composition alongside the Symmetra in the regular season. So do you think that Orisa being buffed in between and us now being on the Orisa buffed patch has actually sort of enabled the composition to do even better, given that Symmetra is such a direct counter to Orisa?
I think the fact that people are like moving away from Pharah, or like there's just people are moving away from comps that are more annoying to play against. And not to say that Bastion Orisa comp is not annoying, but it's more straightforward in how to deal with it. So I think that helps. A little bit at least. I think they were kind of the same to play against, but I think it helps a bit.
Well, on that note, Danid, obviously, with that Bastion comp, how is it straightforward in your opinion? Like, what is so straightforward about that composition that makes it kind of easy for the likes of you guys to deal with?
They can take 10 angles and be all around you and flank and collapse. You can kind of survive. Like, you're not gonna get randomly one shot. Sometimes you are, but in general you know where to TP to. You know where to. They're gonna be clumped up. That's mostly why it's a little bit straightforward.
So we've talked about the Bastion, we've also talked about the Orisa, but another thing that changed when we headed into playoffs was obviously the fact that Iliari came through. Your team doesn't play her. How do you find her to be into sort of playing into such a heavy DPS sustaining support?
Definitely giving me some Kiriko flashbacks from just getting randomly headshot somewhere. But it's really only her ult that is hard to deal with, and the amount of healing she has, but for us, we have to play Lucio. I mean, there's no other option for us, really. But yeah, I think her ult is really annoying, but the fact that she got nerfed so she can't shoot through shields helps so much. It would be, I don't know, it would be so much harder to play against it if she still could shoot it through the shields.
You know, obviously with you guys, just to flip the script a little bit for you Danid, you know, can you kind of talk maybe on that like Symmetra tandem alongside Cloudy? Because, you know, people always talk about like the, you know, Lucio synergy with Reinhardt, but I feel like it's more important, you know, with you and Cloudy to kind of be on the same page with these teleporter plays. I mean, is there a lot of like practice individually you guys go with that, or is it just like this mindset of just go, always use teleporter off of cooldown?
I mean, we figure some stuff out. I think in general, like TP, after a while, TP gets so like I remember when we started playing it, no one was scared of the TP, but I think everyone's been conditioned in these like 2 months of us just spamming the comp. The TP needs to die as soon as it comes up. People have like they just focus it instantly, so it's definitely like people are very scared of it, and if they don't kill it, there's gonna be a Rhine in their backline suddenly. So.
So then off of the back of that TP, because obviously like Dustin said, sometimes we see you guys use it immediately to be able to set Cloudy up for things like the Shadow, but other times we see you guys throw it out to be able to bait a lot of utility from the other team. You don't obviously have to leak all of the sim strategies given the fact that you're going up against a team that's no doubt watching, but how do you make the decision of when to actually commit to a teleporter and when to use it to bait out on the other team?
I mean, it's just based on enemy ults and what we think we're gonna be able to do. If we, it's just based on ults. We have to, and that obviously goes into. There's many different ult scenarios where either we go or we don't. But baiting ults, and if we have a good push ult, we just go with it.
That makes a lot of sense. And for you guys, obviously, SrPeakCheck, I mean, I think that you guys expected to do well, but to be in the grand finals is a huge deal. Also against the likes of Twisted Minds. I mean, considering how things went last time you guys played against Twisted Minds, what do you think is going to go differently for you guys this time in the grand finals against the reigning champions?
I think we're just more prepared. We kind of know what they're doing, and yeah, I don't know. I think we have a very good chance. I think we're winning.
Yeah, Chaos actually agrees, because he did the interview yesterday after the match against EXO, and he confessed to saying that his match with SrPeakCheck when you guys went up against them was actually the hardest one that they'd had, and they almost actually got 0-3 for the first time. Why do you think the likes of Twisted Minds, a team that's been so dominant against all of these other teams, struggles with dealing with the composition that you run?
I mean, it's just you can't really get practice against it, and we do. I mean, I do very stupid shit on Sim, and Cloudy just pins in randomly. It's just unpredictable, and you can't really plan for it as much.
And wait, Danny, real quick, are you sick, by the way? Or are you like under the... yeah, I was gonna say...
But
oh my god. Yeah, actual Michael Jordan flu game from you, man. Jesus Christ, Danny. Well, I mean, obviously we'll let you get ready for your matchup and you know, take a little bit of your time back in your favor. Is there anything you want to say before you get ready for that match?
I think we have a good match coming up, so I'm excited.
No? Cool. Thank you, Danny, for coming through with the interview. It's a pleasure speaking to you, and good luck in your match, my man.
Thank you.
That's Danny from the likes of SrPeakCheck. Played a ton of Symmetra there for them to kind of keep up those tempo plays, keep up the aggression on the teams they play against. And Twisted Minds are a team that also likes to take advantage of similar aggressive play styles. But with that matchup, guys, Twisted Minds versus SrPeakCheck is coming up in just a bit. So we're really excited for this matchup. I think Twisted Minds have shown some dominance this year, or this season, but have kind of been, you talked about it earlier, Moxie, at points potentially beatable.
Yeah, they've definitely looked mortal, and they've looked at their most mortal when they were up against SrPeakCheck, and they themselves confessed this. So this is going to be a very interesting and potentially long Grand Finals, Dustin, which we have not had in a hot minute on the EU side. America has gotten treated to so many close Grand Finals. We had last year just Munich being able to come through and surprise everybody on A sides, and then EXO went on such the dominant performance, and then when EXO got broken off and split into all of these different teams, we got Twisted Minds picking up 3 out of 5 of their players, and again establishing such a huge dominant performance on the region. But for the first time, Dustin, I think we're going to see
Moxie,
the losing team take at least 2 different maps.
You were just jinxing it right now, dude. You're just, oh my god. Listen, we have to wait and see if Moxie's prediction rings true. Usually it does. I'll give you that credit where it is due. But guys, we'll be going to a short break before that Grand Finals to give you a bit of a breather, get some snacks, get your drinks, whatever you need to do. So we'll see you shortly for that Grand Finals after this break.